Welcome back, everyone. So you know what I want to talk about. Let's talk about spiritual law. You cannot get to the Father without going through the Son, right? Which explains in Psalms where he had to buy us back for a price, blood for blood. Let's fast forward to something else. Everything about life uses that same law. You cannot get to something without going through something else first. You cannot put food in your stomach without it going through your mouth. You cannot get images in your head without seeing them with your eyes, in your ears. You cannot get in a room without walking through a door. And you cannot birth a child without it going through the walls of a woman. That equation, it is in every single part of our lives if you think about it. How is it countered with evil? And that takes us to Adam and Eve. God helped Adam, was partnering with Adam and teaching him and demonstrating with him on how to be a partner. They cultivated the land together. They named things. So he was preparing him for his helpmate. He gives him Eve, but something happened. Something was disconnected, and I get it. They were still trying to evolve, but they didn't fully manifest just yet. The devil knows that, so he took the one who was more fresh. She was already at the tree, so she already had that desire or interest. He became her friend and told her she would be like God, right? God represents power. Was she on a power trip? Because they were helpmates. But what happened between Adam and Eve in between that destruction? Either way, they both ended up in trouble, and God knew what each of them had done wrong.
So let's reevaluate this. God approached him and asked him, "How do you know you're naked?" Adam says, "That woman you gave me of the tree, and I did eat." So he did two things wrong here. He blamed God by saying, "That woman you gave me." And he separated himself from her as his helpmate by saying, "That woman you gave me," as if she was an object. He approached the woman and he said, "What have you done?" She said, "The serpent beguiled me, but I did eat." She told the truth. She said she got played, but she went for it. So they both had to deal with some form of pain for their consequences after getting kicked out of Eden. There was no more entitlement. The woman had to deal with pain through birth, and the man had to deal with the pain of having to work hard for everything he wanted and needed. So no more entitlement. But yet, in today's world, both parties use both of those as excuses because they still feel they're entitled to something for everything they have to go through to get it.
That's the stupidity in us today. We're still asking the same questions. Are men and women equal? Yes, we are equal in different ways for different reasons. Just like water and soil is equal to growing a seed. That takes us to 1 Corinthians 12:4. All of us have a different gift, but of the same Spirit. We have different services, but of the same Lord. The service of a woman was birthing and being able to birth and nurture children. And men were the hard workers, right? The stronger ones, the physical ones. So God gave us different physical agility. That's where we different at. Men were the head, but they took that and manipulated that and abused it. So it didn't go well for anybody. Everybody was doing their own thing. Men corrupted leadership, women corrupted society. That goes back to the law. You have to go through something else to get to what you want. You cannot get to something without going through something else. Ask and ye shall be given. What Adam and Eve was teaching me was about intentions. Now, how when you lean on your own understanding and you go against God's law, you never win. God is the algorithm, and if you do not keep him in the equation, you get the wrong answer. So let's understand spiritual law. Ask and ye shall be given. A killer desires and wants to kill. The spiritual law works with the killer. The spiritual law works with someone who wants their body to be healed. The spiritual law works for someone who wants money or material possession. It is allowed. It does not mean you are approved. We are the image and likeness of God, but people will get plastic surgery to change that. God will allow it through spiritual law, but it's not approved. People are blessed with businesses where people consumes alcohol and get drunk. God says he wants people to be sober-minded. He allows that business to happen, but that doesn't mean it's approved. Your will is like your God particle. That is what the devil wants, and that's what God wants. He wanted us to bring the kingdom on earth, but instead, we rather shake hands with the devil. And we can't even see it because we don't understand spiritual law. We just think we've manifested some things and God gave them to us, but the things that we're asking for literally goes against us. It goes against his law. Then it takes us back to Psalms where Jesus died for us, give us grace and mercy. It bought us some time to come out of this paganism. But we think we can have a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and we're going to manipulate God into thinking that we're what? Being honest? That doesn't work that way. It doesn't matter how much grace we believe we have, but the reality is there is a cutoff. And if you pay attention to the patterns of every civilization before us, the majority of the people ended up in death, and only a few were bought out of God's wrath. But yet, we don't realize that someone we're probably next to, that we're looking at, you or I, one of us will not make it. So remember, while we're fighting about if men and women are equal, just know that we are. We are equally different for different reasons. We would not be here if it wasn't from the balance of having both chromosomes to reproduce. We are water and soil. We are meant to cultivate together. We were supposed to rule the animals and the things on earth, not each other. Look around. This power in the world is still falling apart and crumbling. That was a very intelligent trick of the devil. I have to give him that. Just like racism. Racism was a tremendous distraction because you cannot get to something without going through something else. How do you get in people's head? You have to go through their heart and their feelings. Well, how do you get to people's feelings? People are afraid of losing things or not having enough. The fear of rejection, abandonment issues. You create these things with people's eyes and give them sounds that they can hear, and it will distort them. Now you can create an idea and it'll work for itself. While we're busy being distracted with these mass distractions, we're becoming unforgiving and bitter. And you can't get in heaven if you're under unforgiveness too, because the Father can't forgive you if you can't forgive others. While we're thinking this is okay to still be focusing on those things, and that you think that everything you're doing has a stamp of approval on it, no, it doesn't. You have to receive a seal. You're going to receive a seal or the mark of the beast at the end. We all are under judgment. Learn and understand spiritual law. A house divided cannot stand. The fact that it is over 200 denominations in the Christian community is silly, and that's just in the USA. It's like over 20,000 globally. Christians are always the ones that are being mocked because we don't even conduct ourselves as Christ. He demonstrated when he came down how we're supposed to eat, how we're supposed to think, how we're supposed to speak. Stop speaking spells, how to treat each other, where to go to when we need to go to, how to fast, the understanding of it. And we still didn't listen. We're still trying to focus on, oh, he gave us grace and let's do what we want to do. And it backfires not only on us, but to everyone else, because our lives are really not our own. And our job is to bring people closer to God. We were supposed to bring heaven on earth. That will of yours, that God particle that you using the wrong way, is why today is the way it is. And don't get it twisted. You have contributed to this. I have contributed to this. It's like the Mazzaroth in the book of Job. We don't get to go to and fro like Satan in the book of Job. And that's what we're doing. We're actually taking on the characteristics of the devil himself. And we don't even realize it because you don't understand spiritual law. The Mazzaroth is a wheel around the earth and the sun. It is fixed. It does not move. What moves is earth. That's why every year it's the same type of weather and our birthdays fall around the same time, because the constellations are fixed. That was another kind of book, a picture book for us to understand prophecies and messages from God. But we weren't taught to actually read the stars to understand it. The people who found that out before us kept the information for their benefits, right? The Egyptians did it, and they started worshiping the images. And that's what we're doing now. We are the created worshiping the creations instead of the creator. We took that Mazzaroth and turned it into a zodiac sign. And now we go to the zodiac signs before we even go to God to find out who we are. That's the twisted part about it. Astrology is the counterfeit version of astronomy. Most people don't even know in the book of Job, and I'm learning myself, that he was talking to Job about planets. It wasn't just the story of him losing everything and then he redeemed himself because he truly loved the Lord. That's the only part that people focusing on, but they don't even study the names and the constellations and what these things really mean. So, spiritual law is extremely powerful. And with your will, things will be coming through you for the sake of the satanic. So be careful with these spiritual laws and that you thinking you're manifesting things with on your own. It does not mean you're approved. It just means that you are allowed. Until next time.